given that we're 40 days out from the next operation of Black Ops 4, whatever that may be themed or named, it might seem a little crazy to think about the content already coming up at that point, especially because we're right on the cusp of what seemingly may be a midway point event within Black Ops 4 in Blackout, Zombies, and even MP as well. But it is something to think about because we actually have some information potentially as for the specialist of the not just next event, but potentially the next two. So today we're going to be breaking down the brand new specialist leak, letting you guys know everything that you need to, who they are, when you can expect to see it, and everything in between. So let's just jump right into it. Over on Reddit the other day, there was a thread entitled "Zero voice lines indicate that Reaper and Spectre will return in the future of multiplayer." Now, surprisingly, this kind of went under the radar for a lot of the subreddit. It's got about 200 upvotes at the time of recording this, but at the same point, that's also not necessarily the most for the given subreddit. You'll see things on the front page with a couple of thousand upvotes at some time, and other things that make it onto the front page with a few hundred more upvotes than this just given 200. So while it might have peaked a little bit on that front page towards the bottom, it didn't get as much traction as I actually would have anticipated. And it surprised me as well that this didn't really make it over into any other mainstream social medias, such as Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and I've seen a couple of videos on YouTube from my friends that have beat me to the topic, but outside of that, really not all that much talk about the upcoming specialists. But sure enough, the attached 8-second video showcased 8 audio cues in which Zero directly addressed Spectre as well as Reaper. Now, unfortunately, I can't play the audio cues here for you because technically they're still part of the game files, and as such, from a legal standpoint, still the intellectual property of Activision as well as Treyarch. So in that sense, I can leave a link down below if you guys want to hear it in its entirety, but for you guys that don't necessarily need to hear it from Zero, but want to know what the audio cues are, it ended up having these 8 audio cues of Reaper deleted, deactivated Reaper, Reaper fragged, Killbot eliminated, Spectre killed, deleted Spectre, Spectre gone, and Spectre down. So certainly curious that these were in the game files as of the update 1.14 as of last Tuesday, and to my knowledge, this actually predated the 1.14 update that went live on PC as of yesterday. So potentially even predating 1.14, the timing of everything was certainly curious, but the skeptic in my head always tries to look for some different spin that this may have had. So initially my thoughts were, okay, maybe these are Blackout quotes because we already see Reaper as a Black Ops past character. He's got some interesting audio lines of his own, but when you consider it, the only audio lines that you end up hearing in Blackout are the ones that are enabled through the command wheel, the pre-game drop-in chatter, which you can sometimes hear between, say, icon characters and some of the specialists, or the victory quotes that have absolutely nothing to do with the enemies that you end up facing. They're not specific to you end up taking out in that final circle. So this goes to show that both specialists are actually on the MP front, because when you take a look at that, there is a ton of battle chatter within MP. You'll end up getting a kill and there'll be some witty comeback from whoever specialist you are that ended up getting that kill, talking about taking out the enemy. And those 8 audio quotes all entirely fit that. Reaper deleted, deactivated Reaper, Reaper fragged, Killbot eliminated, Spectre killed, deleted Spectre, Spectre gone, Spectre down. The all-common thread is the fact that Zero would be taking out that specialist. Those specialists aren't in MP at the moment. And what I find cool is that if these are in fact the next 2 specialists, we've kind of had a breadcrumb trail since before the launch even of these specialists coming into the game at some point. It was first hinted at with the comics. We ended up seeing Reaper was in the Prophet Origin comic. Then we ended up seeing that at launch we had the hint of the specialist on frequency as an Easter egg, in which we ended up seeing not only Zero, but we also saw Outrider and then Spectre. Plus we ended up seeing that Reaper was a season pass character, and now finally these recent audio file leaks hint at them actually coming and having some definitive plans to do so. While their files may not be in the game assets, to have a voice actor come in and then cover that area of discussion, which would later be used for other updated game files, it seems all but certain at this point. So the next big question comes then to when? When will these 2 specialists be added in the future of Black Ops 4? Like we mentioned, we're still 40 days out from Operation 4, but we do know that we're going to have Operations 4, 5, and 6. That's already been detailed as of the roadmap and the content schedule that was detailed with Operation Grand Heist. With that roadmap, we ended up seeing at the very bottom that we'd see one for spring, summer, and then fall in terms of operations. So we're going to have up to Operation 6 by the time Black Ops 4 Year 1 is over. And with 40 days left on Operation Grand Heist and a few hours and change, that means that Operation 4 will launch on the 30th of April, and we're pretty much solidified again into that state of having 1 new specialist per event. So that means at the earliest, earliest, we'll end up seeing one of those two added into the game as of potentially, again, the 30th of April. After that, well, assuming we end up having another 70-day event, or if that's the standard set number of time for each event and we're not going to see any shorter or longer, then we have the possibility of them dropping on the 9th of July and also the 17th of September. Granted, 3 more operations means 3 more specialists, so we don't know all 3 of them, but it is likely looking like we know 2 of them. We'll get to that third one in just a second. As for the order in which they're introduced, though, because it's really a toss-up. It could be Reaper, it could be Spectre coming for Operation 4, but I think that it might be one over the other. I think, personally, it'll be Spectre first. And this just simply comes down to the reasoning of we've already seen our first 2 teased in one location, and that same location that teased the first 2 also teased a third. That being frequency. We're coming back to this once again, but if you remember from the very beginning, it showcased 3 monitors in the main surveillance room where there was a sort of static and you couldn't read everything. You could make out little bits and pieces, and on those monitors were 3 different specialist transmissions or slight bios. We ended up being able to decipher from the very beginning 2 of those 3, that being Outrider and then Spectre, but the third one at the time we had no idea who that was. It was somebody from Berlin, a tech and black hat hacker of sorts as described, but that later became Zero. And then, again, later we saw Outrider from that very same specialist transmission introduced, and the only one again remaining is that of Spectre. So unless there's a big curveball, it seems like to me, the frequency was that key to showcasing the first 3 post-launch specialists. Zero, Outrider, and then finally Spectre, who we may see as of again the 30th with Operation 4 launching as of next month. That said, if I again were to guess a little further, I'd say that Operation 5 again around that date of July 9th, that's when we'd end up seeing Reaper introduced into the game as well. Now, as for their lethals and abilities, your guess would be as good as mine. The indicated files that we detailed already don't offer up anything in terms of hints for what those may be. Personally, I'd love to see the Ripper and the Scythe reintroduced, but who knows? We already saw some things removed or reallocated to different specialists, such as the Vision Pulse not being associated with Outrider, but instead being associated with Recon, Combat Readiness offering more score not being associated with Seraph, but instead offering more score in the way of Crash's Assault Pack, and so on and so forth. So it's likely we won't see the exact copy and paste of both Spectre and Reaper's abilities and lethals, but it is something that maybe we see some sort of crossover to reintroduce one of those things. Now, as for the third specialist, again, coming back to that, we mentioned we'd come back and talk about it because there is one more operation after Operation 5. Who could this be? Well, it's possible it could be somebody brand new. I mean, Zero was not introduced in any capacity in Black Ops 3 as a specialist or in any of the lore, so it is equally as likely we could see somebody brand new, but it also wouldn't surprise me if we end up seeing Blackjack added in as Operation 6's specialist as well. He's already in the game files as a character, somebody in the lore and universe of Black Ops 4, continuing from Black Ops 3, and as with Black Ops 3, he could be a late introduction as to a post-launch specialist as a scavenger of sorts as well. That also would make sense because he's the last character from Black Ops 3 that we have not seen playable just yet outside of Spectre and Reaper, or I guess you could say he will be the last one that is not playable a little further down the line. So as it stands, it really seems like we're going to be getting Spectre and Reaper as of Operation 4 and 5, and maybe even Blackjack at some later point as well. One thing that I can almost guarantee will be brought up though is why are there repeat specialists? Why aren't there any that are brand new outside of, say, Zero? And when we're talking about theorizing the next 3, why don't we see any that are brand new as well as a likely candidate? And this is where I think the community thinks it's more of an easier answer of a cop-out, but I also think that it kind of wants to retain the Black Ops universe. Thinking from a different perspective and actually taking a look at how the narrative of Black Ops 4 and the, whether you know it or not, secret backstory of it shapes the game and how it ties in with Black Ops 3 as well, there's history with those specialists. And also, it rounds out that storyline a little further. That hidden lore ties directly into Black Ops 3 and is the prequel of a sense because chronologically, Black Ops 4 takes place before Black Ops 3, so in that sense, it sets up the story arc for what we see in Black Ops 3, and the easiest way to do that would be to tell the origin story of the specialists we'd see chronologically a little later. While I'm not necessarily saying it wouldn't be terrible to have new specialists, I'm just playing a little bit of the other end of the spectrum, playing devil's advocate for what I'd imagine is an easy target and answer for the community to throw out themselves. But I wanted to keep you guys in the loop here at this because I am all for new specialists, so long as they're not super OP. I think that Outrider was probably handled way better than that of Zero. I did not like Zero outside of that first couple of games I played with her, but so long as the specialists are a little more balanced upon their launch, I think it's a great addition and I'm looking forward to it. But I wanted to keep you guys in the loop because this kind of stuff, again, went a little under the radar and it's actually really important, I think, to the future of Black Ops 4. So that said, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Love to get your feedback here on any and all of this. Is there anything in particular? Are you looking forward to Spectre or Reaper? Or are you guys not necessarily looking forward to them? Whatever it may be, feel free to let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, but hopefully enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure you drop a like down below, and of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure you guys subscribe so you don't miss a single thing regarding all things Black Ops 4, MP, Blackout, Zombies. We got you covered with the best of updates, news, information, tips, tricks, all that good stuff. So if any of it interests you, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a single thing. If you guys also want to follow me over on Twitter and Instagram, there's the best places to connect outside of YouTube. I can live on both those. If you guys want to strike up a conversation, ask me a question, whatever it may be, that link is down there in the description below. Well, that's it. Out of the way. Thank you guys all so much for watching. My name is Espresso. I'll see you guys later. Take care and peace.